So today I've got my tinfoil hat on because we're talking about conspiracy theories about Elizabeth the First. But it's not really comfortable, so I'm not actually going to leave it on. Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Heather with the Renaissance English History Podcast, and welcome to my YouTube channel. So today I'm going to talk to you about Elizabethan conspiracies, because Elizabeth was actually the subject of a lot of conspiracy theories. Do you believe any conspiracy theories? I actually do, but I'm not going to tell you which ones. Hey, just before we get started, a quick reminder, the Indiegogo for the 2024 Tudor Planner is on now. This is the 2023 one. If you've never seen it, this is a planner I do every year. It's a weekly, monthly. It's got like this week in history, all kinds of Tudor goodness, along with like all the planning tools you would expect from a planner. So 2024 Tudor Planner, I published it all myself, so I got to pay all the bills myself. And I crowdfund it, and it's on at Indiegogo right now. There's some awesome perks, including free TudorCon tickets. So let's get into Elizabethan conspiracy theories. There's a lot of really good ones in here. The first that I'm going to talk about is that she was actually a boy. Like, people could not seem to wrap their heads around the idea that she was a woman and she was a successful woman and she never felt like getting married, right? It's like, people didn't know what to do with that. And so they made up a lot of ideas to kind of justify it in their heads, right? So this first theory involves her being a boy. And the idea goes that when Elizabeth was 10 years old, plague struck in London, and she was whisked away to a village in the countryside for her safety. And she actually fell ill with a mysterious disease, and she passed away. Now, her governess was totally freaked out because, of course, she knew that Henry might execute her. Henry had executed Anne Boleyn. So she scrambled all around the village to find a lookalike for the princess. And she stumbled on this young boy with feminine features, and she disguised him in Elizabeth's clothing, and nobody noticed. Nobody noticed. This 10-year-old girl suddenly became a 10-year-old boy, and this boy went on to rule England as Elizabeth for over 4 decades. So you might think this sounds ridiculous, but actually Bram Stoker, the author of Dracula, published his book in 1910 called Famous Imposters, and he actually wrote about this, and this was one of his famous imposters. He said that Elizabeth was actually Henry VIII's illegitimate grandson, and so people then started looking at Elizabeth's supposedly masculine traits, that she had long fingers and she had facial stubble and like all kinds of random stuff. And they said that she used her heavy makeup and her wig to disguise this stuff. And they even said that that's probably why she never had any children. It's like people just couldn't imagine it, right? The next one is that maybe she was actually Shakespeare. I mean, who knew, right? So we all know that she was very intellectual. She loved the arts. So people say that she had the education and the life experience necessary to write these plays. And also, there's a lot of people who don't understand how Shakespeare could have written the stuff that he wrote, because how does this person from Stratford-on-Avon suddenly have all of this knowledge, this intricate knowledge about worldly events? And, there's all of those theories around that. So this theory is that Elizabeth was actually Shakespeare. And some point to the Dark Lady mentioned in Shakespeare's sonnets and suggested that the queen herself was actually writing about herself. And some point to similar themes between Elizabeth's own poetry and Shakespeare's poetry as evidence as well. Of course, they were stylistically similar because they were both writing at the same time in the same period. And, there's certain styles that become popular. But hey, maybe they were the same. I don't know. Most historians do not support this because there's little evidence that this could have actually been carried out without people noticing and people writing about it at the time. So, maybe Elizabeth was Shakespeare. The next conspiracy theory is that she was actually Francis Bacon's mother. So the idea is that she and Robert Dudley had a child. That child was Francis Bacon. He was born in secrecy, sent away to be raised by another family. The people who support this point to the fact that Francis Bacon was very intelligent, was just like extraordinary intelligence, could only be attributed to his royal lineage. They also look at the close relationship between Francis Bacon and the Queen, and he was knighted by her successor, James I. So they say that all of that provides evidence to this super close relationship. But again, most historians dismiss the theory as nothing more than an imaginative lie. And there's no concrete evidence to prove that Elizabeth and Dudley had a child, and Francis Bacon has a very well documented life as well. And because I just said Francis Bacon, it's now time for me to say my favorite pun, which I say a lot, which is knowledge is power, France is bacon. I don't know why that finds, I don't know why I find that so amusing, but I just find that so amusing. I just love it. It's like my equivalent of a dad joke. Knowledge is power, France is bacon. Again, I don't know. All right. The next conspiracy theory is that Elizabeth was not actually Henry's daughter at all. Apparently, the idea goes that Anne Boleyn had an affair with someone else, and that was Elizabeth. Some point to the adultery that Anne was killed for, perhaps being real, that was the real reason behind her execution. There are people who say that she looked much more like her mother than her father, although she does have the same kind of red hair and some of those Tudor features. So I don't know. Most historians reject this theory as well. There are a bunch of other conspiracy theories involving Robert Dudley, that they actually got married. Probably didn't happen. It would have caused like a political nightmare if it had been found out that she had a child by him, which we talked about with Francis Bacon, but maybe there were other children. And pretty tough to hide that. And also that she poisoned Dudley's wife, Amy Robsart. Again, probably not true. Amy Robsart fell down a flight of steps. Now, whether or not who was involved with that, that's one of history's mysteries. But Elizabeth I most likely did not poison Amy Robsart. So I got my hat back on. What do you guys think about those conspiracy theories? Any of them strike a chord? Oh my gosh, it's falling off. Any of them strike a chord for you? You think there's any truth to them? What conspiracy theories do you believe in? Do you have a tinfoil hat about anything? I would love to know. Leave a comment and tell me. And I'm going to go listen for the aliens and UFOs and figure out who shot JFK. Have a great day.